Let's start by saying what resurrection is not. So resurrection is not simply immortality of the soul. N.T. Wright makes this very clear in his text that we're interacting with. As Greeks saw it, the body was a prison house of the soul. So really, what was fallen was that the soul was trapped in this physical body, and salvation would involve leaving this physical body behind. This is how many of the Greeks viewed eternal life, that it was purely this immaterial, soulish life that continues after the grave. But this isn't how the Hebrews saw it. As we talked about earlier, a human being was both body and soul. You have a breath element, a spirit, but there's a physical component as well. In fact, in the Judeo-Christian understanding, a soul without the body is actually incomplete. A human being is both a body and a soul. So resurrection should not be confused with immortality of the soul. Now, were there people during the time of the Christian faith emerging that believed in that? Yes. There may have been people who called themselves Jews or called themselves Christians who believed in it, but that is not the doctrine of resurrection. Second, resurrection is not reincarnation. Reincarnation, of course, is found in Eastern religions, Buddhism, Hinduism. You see it in New Age and things like Scientology. It is considered a curse to be reincarnated, not a blessing. So for the Christian religion, when we are resurrected, we are ultimately set free from this body of sin and weakness that Paul talks about in 1 Corinthians 15. But in Eastern religions, to be reincarnated means you haven't been set free from this cycle. It's actually a curse. So the evil in the present life is punishment for evil in a previous life. We suffer now because of evil we did in the past. The goal is to escape reincarnation and experience personal annihilation. But the biblical view is very different. As it says in Hebrews 9:27, is commissioned for man to die once and then be judged. So reincarnation is very different than resurrection, which is what we mean by resurrection. Resurrection is also not resuscitation. It's not resuscitation, or some people would say revivication, where it seems that somebody is dead, or maybe even they were clinically dead, but brought back to the same life they previously had. So people who are revivified return back to this mortal life and will die again. This is the case with Lazarus. You read the stories of kind of John 10 through 12. Lazarus dies and Jesus shows up on the fourth day. And he says, he's not dead, but I'm going to bring him back. And everybody laughs. And of course, Jesus, they roll the stone away. Lazarus comes out. Now, Lazarus was going to die again. He was not resurrected. I'm amazed at how many times skeptics will say, well, what's unique about Jesus? There's so many other resurrections in the Bible. Paul resurrected somebody. Elijah resurrected somebody. Jesus resurrected somebody. And they didn't. There's only been one resurrection so far, and that's Jesus, who's the first fruits of what is yet to come. So a resuscitation or revivification is not what we mean by resurrection. Now, resurrection is also not translation. Now, a translation is something in Jewish thought where there was a different category from a person translated from this realm into heaven, such as Enoch in the early stories of Genesis, or Elijah we see in the book of Kings, where somebody was translated directly to be with the Lord. Now, that person will eventually be resurrected at the end, as we saw in Daniel 12:2. This will happen with everybody, to life or to death. But don't confuse that with, again, resurrection. Look, as we saw in the last one, revivification and resuscitation, there are a number of people who have died and seem to come back. But Jesus was raised to immortality and glory. Now in the Bible, there's between 9 and 10 resuscitations. You have Elijah, who raised the son of Zarephath's widow in 1 Kings. You have Elisha, raised the son of the Shunammite woman in 2 Kings. A dead man comes back to life when he touches Elisha's bodies. Jesus raised the widow's son in Luke 7. Jesus raises Jairus' daughter in Matthew 9, Mark 5, and Luke 8. Jesus raised his friend Lazarus in John 11. Peter raises Tabitha, Paul raises Eutychus, and the dead saints in Matthew 27 come out of the grave. But these are resuscitations, not revivifications. So again, resurrection is not the same as immortality of the soul. It's not the same as reincarnation. It's not revivification or resuscitation, and it's not translation. Here's what we mean by resurrection. It is a rising to life from death with complete transformation. It is a permanent transformation that we see Paul describe in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, in a body that is indestructible. That's what we mean by resurrection. It is a rising from the dead, like we saw, say, Tabitha, or people Peter, Paul, or Jesus raised. But they died again. Resurrection is a permanent, glorified state that all of us will experience at the end time. To this day, only Jesus has been resurrected as a first fruit of what is yet to come.